Hey everyone, it's AZ with the Fire Rescue Wellness Podcast. And before I get to introducing my guest for episode 136, I have an announcement. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Okay, I know you've probably already heard that we are hosting a Women's Human Performance Summit at OSU OKC. Unless you've been living under a rock, you already know that. Here's the important part. Registration is open, and we are already halfway sold out. Halfway sold out. You do not want to wait to register for this event. I know y'all are thinking like, oh, I'll register after Christmas. I'll register in the spring. No, you will not. It will be sold out. You want to register as soon as possible. I'll put the link in the show notes, but in case you have been living under a rock, May 9th, I am bringing the best of the best speakers in women's tactical human performance to Oklahoma City. You are going to want to be there. Is there a virtual option? There is, but there's nothing like being there in the room. You want to be there. Register now. Okay. I've gotten a little spoiled the last couple of weeks because I have recorded an inordinate number of in-person podcasts, and I really love that. And today I recorded a podcast with my friend Damon Glass. Damon is the athletic trainer at the Oklahoma City Fire Department. One hell of a nice guy, U.S. Army veteran. He's been an athletic trainer for almost a quarter of a century. I mean, and he's like 26 years old, so I don't even know how this is possible, but Damon has been an athletic trainer since 2000. He's also a graduate of OU, and I've been told as an OSU student, like, this is a no-go. We're not supposed to be friends, but he's really a great guy, so I made an exception. So he did graduate from the University of Oklahoma. He has done a lot of diverse things. He's been a high school and collegiate athletic trainer. He's worked with Oklahoma State motocross and also rodeo. I didn't even know that was a thing. We're going to have to talk about that. He also worked as an industrial athletic trainer and business development manager. But like I said, he has the best job in the world right now, working for the men and women of the OKC Fire Department. Give the episode a listen, make sure and share it with someone who will enjoy it. Thank you for joining me on the Fire Rescue Wellness Podcast. I'm your host, AZ. I find the research and resources and then provide the fire service with the so what, now what, to ensure the health and well-being of every member of our profession. Together, let's thrive. Hey everybody, it's AZ with Fire Rescue Wellness Podcast, and I am live and in person with my friend Damon Glass. Damon, say hello to the listeners.
Hello, listeners. How are you today?
Yes, I love the enthusiastic hello. My friend Scott Forbes was the literal worst. That guy is the best guy, and he's like, hello. It was terrible. I'm so glad you said the good hello. Before I get to the get to know you questions, Damon, tell me what you were doing today.
So I'm the athletic trainer for Oklahoma City Fire Department. We were doing the Mean 15. The recruits were. So I was there observing, having fun, actually. I think I have the best athletic training job there is.
Hands down, the best working in fire. And I'm going to ask for like all the details about the Mean 15 because, you know, our next guest is going to be the one, the only Court. But from an observation standpoint, what is the Mean 15?
So the Mean 15 is all the tasks they've learned over the last week. Search, rescue, hose line, victim extraction. It is awesome. They have to complete it on one bottle of air. It's going through a confined space, pulling a victim up from the basement. It's awesome. 4 of them as a team have to work together.
Oh, that was going to be my next question. Individual or team? Okay. That's amazing. I can't wait to ask Court a bunch of questions about that. But before we dig in too much, let's start with the easy one. Who is Damon Glass?
Damon Glass is a athletic trainer that fell into a great job with the Oklahoma City Fire Department. Damon Glass is a guy from Newcastle, Oklahoma. Went the Army, did the infantry thing. Love the Army, give every praise to the Army. Met somebody that was an athletic trainer. I decided to get out of the Army and become an athletic trainer. It's been the best thing ever. I graduated from University of Oklahoma in 2000. And I've been doing it ever since high school, collegiate, some professional sports. And I got lucky enough to get the job at the Oklahoma City Fire Department. It's been awesome.
It is a great position. And I know from having some conversations with you, you must have done a fair amount of work with wrestling. Give me a little bit of that
So when
411.
I was at the University of Oklahoma, I was with wrestling for 2 years. And then I've always had a passion for wrestlers. I think they're very tough athletes. They're extremely tough, resilient, self-sufficient, fun guys to be around. So that was kind of drew me to those guys. And so, that's how I got with wrestling. I've covered the state wrestling tournament for a bunch of years as an athletic trainer, and I have some really good friends that are Olympic wrestlers.
Dang. Give me any day, give me a male wrestler or a female, either gymnast or soccer player. Like, I think those are the toughest athletes.
A friend of mine is Sammy Henson. He was an Olympic silver medalist.
Really?
Stud. Sammy still trains, bull trained, and he's in Missouri.
Dang. I mean, I think that pretty much means that you are famous adjacent, right?
Famous adjacent.
Damon
true.
may not be famous, but he's famous adjacent.
I'm famous adjacent.
That's my new favorite word, adjacent. What sets your soul on fire? And it could be in a good way or a bad way. Like, what just makes you so fired up, or what just really burns your toast?
Fired up makes me literally. I had this conversation with Court today. He said, "What do you think?" I said, "You know what, Court? I became an athletic trainer to help athletes. And my biggest thing that I love more than anything, if I see an athlete succeed, if I can help anybody succeed, whether it's the high school football player that makes it through a game, I get more joy out of that than not more than my kids."
Okay, so fair.
My kids, and then I love taking care of athletes, human beings in general. Like, if I can help someone succeed, I've done industrial athletic training. So I've taken care of workers, and I get them back to work, and they're like, "Thank you, because I need to work." It's the best thing ever for me.
Well, right now you have kind of like that combination, because firefighters are kind of industrial athletes. They're also public servants. Like, I don't know. I think you have a pretty cool job, Damon.
Yeah. Taking care of firefighters that take care of us is extremely beneficial, and just I can't even say how much I enjoy it and how good it makes me feel. It is awesome to take care of those guys.
Well, and I always say it this way.
And girls.
And girls. Whoop, whoop. I always say it this way. As a firefighter, I can probably count on one hand the number of, let's be dramatic, lives I saved. Like, on one hand. And maybe two hands and a foot, the number of lives I super positively impacted. But if I can take care of firefighters, then I'm a force multiplier. Then my reach goes much further. And that's what you're doing.
Absolutely.
Damon's a force multiplier. And we want to know, force multiplier, how are you changing the world?
How am I changing the world?
Yeah.
I hope I am touching these guys that maybe one day saves somebody's life, saves a kid, or maybe it touches them and then their kid decides to be an athletic trainer, or whatever it does positively down the road. I think it's just awesome how it changes anything.
I'm going to give a teeny tiny shout out to Jim in Detroit. Jim, you know who you are. He is a Detroit firefighter, and his daughter is going to athletic training school, or school for athletic training.
Nice.
And she's already decided she wants to work with firefighters.
It's awesome. I just had an intern for 16 weeks, and it's the first one. I partnered with a couple of colleges. They're going to send me interns, and so far they love it. It's a different realm.
Well, and the great thing is that you and I and the people that are already doing this job are opening the eyes of kids who would maybe never have found this job as it was before, because it's kind of new. So
yeah, it's really new. Like, I'd say within the last 5 to 10 years max, but 5 years for sure. Like, it's an open realm. I know, since I've gotten this position, I've had chiefs reach out to me from other municipalities asking what I do, how I do it, how can they get an athletic trainer? What's the path? So any way I can help them and help other places, I am so willing to do it because I think it's a huge opportunity.
Proof of concept.
Proof
That's
of
what fire
concept.
departments want. They want to see someone else do it, work out the bugs, and then they want to do it.
Absolutely. And I applaud for Oklahoma City for going out on the limb and deciding they want to employ one.
Yeah, I think, and I say this all the time, one of my business does several things, but one of the, I call it verticals in my business, is teaching civilians how to create their own opportunity within the fire service. And I say this all the time. You know it, I'm not an athletic trainer. I'm a strength coach, a sports nutritionist, and a retired firefighter. That said, I say that the athletic trainer is your best first hire. Your best first hire, as long as you set them up for success.
Yes, you have to set them up for success. Give them the opportunity to prove it and do what they do. Let them be the professional.
Yes.
Let them be the professional. And I so applaud Oklahoma City because they look to me and go, you're the professional. We're going to look to you for the advice. What do we need to do? And they have been so supportive of the position. You know, they want to broaden this up. You know, maybe we hire a strength and conditioning coach down the road. You know, whatever it opens up to do, I think it's going to help. We're a large department, so it's awesome, you know, that they really support the position.
So let's go back because you started in March. Is that right?
March.
Okay.
9 months ish.
You could have cooked a whole baby in the time that you've been
Yes.
here. So let's talk about that baby you've been cooking in terms of you walked in on your first day, and I'm sure that they were looking to you for guidance as to, all right, Damon, what are we going to do? So how did you get started?
Wow, that's a great question because I never knew how large the fire department was. How many entities are in the fire department? You know, we have 38 stations. We have over 1,000 firefighters. And I thought, how am I going to touch every one of them? Every one of them. I started making rounds, just driving to stations, introducing myself. This is what I do. Hey, I'm an athletic trainer. This is what I can help you with. I drove around for days, and then I started getting busy. People would call me. I'd schedule appointments. I'd see injuries. And then it really blossomed after that because now just word of mouth. Hey, if you have something, call Damon. Hey, call Damon. So it's really, I was way busier in the first 6 months than they thought I would be in the first year. And I will have to say the number one thing, and I say this to every athletic trainer, if your athletes don't trust you, they'll never come to you. They have to trust you. You have to be upfront with them, tell them the truth, tell them what you think, and tell them their best way to, you know, either injury prevention or whatever it may be. If you got to say, hey, this is something you need to go to the doctor and we need to get taken care of somewhere else. I can't help you. But if you're honest with them, they'll trust you. If they don't trust you, they're not going to use you.
And everyone talks about buy-in. Like, how do you get buy-in? How do you get buy-in for your program or whatever? Well, think of it this way. Trust is just another word for buy-in. So think more about trust than buy-in because the buy-in comes when you get the trust. So how long did it take you driving around to stations to realize like, whoa, this is not scalable? Like I got to figure out like maybe a different system or approach or whatevs.
So about 3 weeks. It didn't take very long.
That was really fast, Damon.
Yeah, it was about very long because we're spread out over 604 square miles. So we have from one station to the others like 50 minutes. And I started driving around going, this is not going to work like this.
This is unsustainable.
Yeah, it wasn't. And so I started just reaching out to stations. Like I would send emails, which firefighters don't check emails very well, by the way. They're not good at that. So I would call the station, like, "Hey, this is Damon. You guys have any injuries? You need anything? I'll drive out to you. I'll come to you." So I started checking on them that way after a little bit because I was getting people come to me, and there was no way I could get out of the office and drive to them. just to check them out. Then I started having people come to see me. So that really threw me in a loop. I'm the guy that says yes to everything. It's like, yes, 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 I can do it. So I didn't have a good schedule and it started to be overwhelming. So then I had to like, okay, I can only see you from this time to this time because I have other responsibilities to do. Like, as you know, the recruit class is going on right now. So I have that responsibility and I have other things. Not only am I the athletic trainer, I'm considered the wellness coordinator of the whole 1,038 station department. So I have to help with fitness assessments and VO2 max testing and ordering equipment. We have 38 weight rooms, basically.
What do you do in your free time?
What do I do in my free time?
In your free time on duty at work. What do you do in all your free time?
I check emails.
You check emails waiting for firefighters to respond to you, which don't respond to you because they don't read your emails.
Yeah, I check emails. I try to make plans. We've never had an athletic trainer, so I'm putting a lot of things in place. I had to get an EMR system, medical documentation system. I had to research which one was the best one for not only athletics, they're considered tactical athletes, but industrial occupational medicine. These are adults and you have workers' comp and you have different avenues you have to deal with. So I had to find that out, which one was going to be the best fit for us. So that was a hurdle to overcome. And then, if you work in a municipality, you can't just go buy something. You have to get bids. And then it was a lot of things that came upon me all at once. And like I said, they'd never had anyone before. So I tried to put some things in place that I took from athletics and just moved it over. I mean, we treat all the firefighters like athletes. They're sports medicine clinic.
And because I know I have some healthcare providers that listen, what EMR system did you end up going with?
I went with Healthy Roster. I researched them. They were the best fit. I knew some other places that were using them. They have some people on the industrial side that use them also. I mean, they're geared more towards athletics, but they had everything I needed. So that's kind of what I went with. They have a self-scheduler. So starting in January, I will have a flyer at every fire station with a QR code. Every firefighter will be able to scan the QR code. It'll go to my calendar and they can schedule an appointment to come see me at that point. And I have it blocked out when I want to be able to see firefighters.
Both on and off duty?
On and off duty. Well, let me take that back. They will not come and see me on duty usually just because they are on duty.
Okay.
Mainly off duty, unless I just go to them and I put that out there also. If there's a block where I don't have anything and they want to block it out and I can drive to them, I'll drive to their station.
So I got to see your new space a few weeks ago. I'm going to rat you out, though. I got to see your new space on the day that you ate 26 donuts and a fried bologna sandwich.
I did that day.
Sorry, I just had to get that on the record. And you were able to walk us through your space, which is super impressive. How is that working out, having that little treatment clinic?
It's really good. People like coming to that space. So far, I've had no issues with the space. I think it's going to work out great. It's away from administration and people are more likely to come and see me. So it's worked really well so far. And the fire department, whatever I need to do the things I need to do, they are more than willing to say, hey, get what you need. So it's nice that they're supportive that way, financially and physically, mentally.
That is a huge portion of success, being able to identify the person, i.e. Damon, who is the professional, and can then tell the fire department, here's what I need to be successful. Love it. So you transitioned a little more to the academy. Did that start in August?
The end of August, 1st of September was the true academy start date. We started doing some other things before they started. Um, so when I started, everything was a whirlwind. In about June, I knew academy was going to start in late August and early September. And some of the things I heard about previous academies were injuries, heat exhaustion, rhabdo, different
Oof.
different things. So I've been doing sports medicine for 24 years. I said, I'm not going to have that. So I started researching and tried to figure out how I could mitigate that. Let me start with one thing: heat, dehydration. That's where I started.
Let's talk about that, because it was kind of pretty exciting, actually.
So I reached out to a sports nutrition physician, and we sweat tested all 60, I think it was 65 at the time, 65 recruits before they started. So they basically they produce their sweat glands, produces enough sweat, they analyze it, and give them a hydration menu. You're 1,500 milligrams sodium per liter sweat, you're 500, and it kind of gave us a direction. And then I researched wearable devices, hydration monitors. So I researched which one of those I wanted to use. So we purchased some hydration monitors. So the recruits get hydration testing every day. So they have a line of where their hydration level is every day.
And just for the listeners, on the same day that Damon ate 467 donuts and a fried bologna sandwich, I got my hydration level tested. And I scored was it 93 or 96? I can't remember.
You were in the 90s.
Yes.
You were in the 90s.
I was excellent, just so you know. But let me make sure I understand this. The sweat testing basically determines, am I a salty sweater, whatever. So let's say I'm a 500 milligram per liter sweater, not to be confused with sweater weather. Okay, I'm a 500 milligram per liter sweater, meaning rehydration. I'm augmenting my water, my drink, with my sort of custom mix. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And when I come in every day for the academy, before I even start with my physical fitness, I'm laying my finger on your tester, and it's going to tell me what my hydration level is.
From 0 to 100. It's an algorithm, and it gives us a number. So we track that number. If somebody say, like you were a 90, if you came in a 90,
96.
96.
Excuse me.
Not 100.
But very close. Yes, go ahead.
So we track that. So say a 90, 96, and then you were a 40 one day. Well, I'm probably going to make you wear it, and I'm going to keep an eye on you at that point. What's going on with AC today? Why? And maybe you just didn't have a good diet. Maybe you were sick the day before, whatever it may be. I ask them all questions, so I could keep track of them. The last thing I want to do is see somebody go down from heat exhaustion. That's preventable, and I was going to prevent it.
Yes. And did you?
I did.
Congrats. So it's not a matter of I get a 40, so then you freak out and you go into a rehydration protocol. It's just, we're keeping an eye on this one.
Yes.
And you've had 0 heat injuries, right?
0.
Say it again, louder.
0.
0 heat
0
injuries.
rhabdos, 0 heat injuries.
Folks at home, rhabdo is nothing to brag about. There are academies out there that are proud that they are sending people to the hospital with rhabdo. Damon, from your perspective in collegiate and professional and high school sports, what happens to athletic trainers and coaches who hurt kids in that fashion?
Not good.
Not good. Can you be more specific about not good?
You will probably sit in front of the medical licensure board.
Yes.
If you knowingly just misconduct. It is your job to make sure that doesn't happen.
It is your job. Yeah, and sitting in front of the medical licensure board is probably the least of your worries.
Yes.
Litigation is sometimes on the table.
Oh, I'm sure litigation. Knock on wood. I've not had to be there.
Weird. Probably because you do the right things. I don't know. That might be it.
I try to do the right things. I try to let whether it's coaches, training staff at the fire academy, do their job, and then I do my job, and we discuss it. I think if you have a good coaching staff, whether you're in athletics or you're with the fire or police, whatever it may be, if you have good communication with the staff and they understand where you are, where they are, and you understand each other, you're going to have a great, successful either team or recruits, firefighters, without injuries. You're going to have some injuries. Let me take that back. You're going to have things you just can't prevent. That just happens.
But we can mitigate the risk.
Mitigate the risk. That's the number one thing.
And with hydration and heat injuries, like this is a no-brainer.
It's the easy one. That's the easy one.
The chief we had the meeting with told me how much those monitoring units were. Is it $250 per?
$250 per.
So even if you're a small department, you don't have a big budget.
Look at grants.
Yeah. Or you can afford to get one of those to have out on, tower training days, hot fire days, et cetera, et cetera.
I've spoken to some chiefs. They've already bought a couple for small departments. Just monitor them. It gives you a screenshot. It's something to start with. And electrolytes. We provided electrolytes. We were just we weren't going to have the issue.
Liquid IV, drip drop, or something else?
Kind of all over the board. Okay. Element,
got it.
Salt stick. We kind of went a couple of different directions.
I suppose depending upon the person.
Some of them bought their own, but we provided a lot during the day. We knew they had a 20-ounce bottle, so they kind of were able to understand. If you ask all of them today, they can probably tell you their menu, whether they're 500 or 1,000, because I ask them quite often.
That's great. And they'll take that with them out into the fields.
I hope so. Absolutely.
I love that. Eventually, I want to get to injury patterns you're seeing in your incumbents, but let's stay on the academy for a little bit longer and let's talk about common academy injuries that you're seeing.
Shin splints and ankle sprains.
Shin splints and ankle sprains.
It's the number one thing. I don't have much other than that. I mean, not repetitively, but shin splints and ankle. And the boots, they're horrible. The insoles. So that was one thing I told all the recruits. Rip out your insoles, go buy these, put these in your boots, put these in your running shoes. Get 2 sets of running shoes. They all had one. They were pounding on them every day. I think it's an education thing. They just don't know. Right. So those are the 2 number one things I had to combat early on. And I'll have to say the training staff was outstanding when I recommended, hey, maybe we need to modify this one's PT. Maybe not run so much, because the last thing we want are stress fractures. I don't think that's not their job as a profession to know what shin splints turn into and how they do it. It's mine to educate them, and they listened, which was outstanding. It was a great communication, and it's worked really well.
I love hearing that. That's the best. I think there is a distinct advantage, maybe not necessarily just here at OKC, but there's a distinct advantage when a young person is going through an academy and they're already hired because they're making money. So when Damon says, go buy 2 pairs of shoes, they don't really have an excuse because they're making money. And then there's other situations where students are actually paying to be in an academy. So they've got that. They maybe had to quit their job. And so going off away from OKC for a second, any advice for those students that just money might be scarce, but they're still going through an academy? What do you think about that?
So that was one thing I did tell them. I said, don't go buy the expensive pair of shoes as your second one. Just have another pair to give your good ones a break. I go, don't go buy the expensive ones. Try a cheap pair just to give those a break from pounding every day. I said, that will help you. And then just the insoles alone, go get it. So I don't care what shoe you buy. They all have crappy insoles. It doesn't matter. Rip them out and get new ones. So that's fairly inexpensive. First place you can start. Just get a good pair of insoles. And then the boots. I wore the boots. I will have to say, I've put on the bunker gear. I've put on the SCBA. I've worn all the stuff. I understand it's heavy. The boots are uncomfortable. I don't think any athletic trainer can go into this type of job without doing some of it and understanding what they're doing.
Oh, I just had a great idea. I'm going to run this by Court when he comes by later. I think we need to send Damon through the full academy next evolution.
They've let me do some things. I've been into a live burn.
Okay.
I've got to go on live burn.
Okay.
I have new respect for that gear.
Oh, gosh.
Because it was hot.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. I think they has around 400 degrees or so. It was hot.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to do the whole academy. I'm a little older, so the cutoff age is way below my age.
I feel like you and I are the same age, and I'm over it. I'm over doing the firefighting tasks.
I've done some of the runs with them.
Yep.
Like early on, I was like, I'll go on a run with them. So I've done that. I mean, I keep in shape. They wouldn't want. I mean, if they looked at me and I was out of shape, they would probably not listen to me as well either. So
wow.
They look at me as like, hey, you got to be in shape a little bit. But I don't know that I want to carry that stuff around.
Yeah.
I don't know if my body can handle that.
Yeah. Just kidding. I'm not going to put that bug in court.
They'll let me do whatever I want to do, though. If
Okay.
I want to go through the stuff, they're like, we'll get you gear. Go through it.
Okay. I love that. So let's leave the academy. I don't know if we're going to come back to it, but let's leave the academy and go to the incumbents. What are you seeing the typical low back, shoulder, knee, and are you seeing elbow?
All over the board. Lateral epicondylitis, medial epicondylitis, low back sprains, strains. You know, the first thing I saw, like I'm 4 days on the job, a torn labrum in the hip. He came to see me. He had hip problems. I said, hey, I think you have a torn labrum. So that was kind of rough on me, to be honest, because I'm thinking I'm here to make sure these guys are back to work and I'm going to do all this good stuff for them. And first thing I see is an actual torn labrum and he's out for months. So that one was kind of rough because that's not what I wanted to do.
I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but
yeah,
it's
first
bad news.
thing.
Yeah.
Pretty much all over the board. I even see off-duty injuries. So I have somebody right now. I got injured off duty and he's off right now, but I'm rehabbing him so he can get back to work.
Nice.
So I see it all.
See it all. My guest a few weeks ago was, it was a dual situation. Allie Hartman, Andy Anik, they're physical therapists in California. And they're trying to get to the bottom of this elbow epidemic situation.
Good luck.
And, well, NASA may have the answer, actually.
Okay.
But, so I went to the Science to the Station at the National Fire Academy, got to hear lots of talks, got to meet Andy there. My friend Jenna was there. We started talking. And Jenna and Andy kind of came to the conclusion that it's a lot of, the wrist motion, et cetera, et cetera. And then we have the poor shoulder mobility. Probably the poor elbow is like the victim of that whole situation. And Andy and I talked a lot about rehab and all of that stuff, but nothing like putting you on the spot. Do you have any other ideas of why this whole elbow thing is it's crazy. It's crazy.
It's it's repetitive. So they're working. They're doing a lot of things on the job, like you said, repetitive twisting, turning, and they play a lot of pickleball.
Pickleball is now the culprit.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it's the culprit, but they have to exercise, so they do things. So we have pickleball. Seems like a lot of them have picked up pickleball.
Really? So I had very, very severe elbow tendonitis it was a long, long time, to the point where I would be unable to hold this here without extreme pain. And I played no pickleball. So
yeah.
Our working hypothesis is the poorly fitting gloves, lack of dexterity, difficulty with grip.
So grip strength's a huge factor in that, and it is poor dexterity, which I'm amazed that the gloves are so thick. I was in a talk yesterday. Race car drivers, Indy drivers, wear gloves, fire retardant.
And they're thin.
Heat resistant, thin. And I don't know, maybe it's a cost. I don't know.
Everything is a cost.
But they wear thin gloves where they can touch everything, and they have a biometrics in the thumb where the pit crew can see the biometrics of the race car driver. But they are fire retardant. Now, I don't know what temperature, but they talked about them being fire retardant and heat resistant, but they were thin.
I think the other thing we have to have is, like, to some extent, that puncture resistance.
Probably puncture resistance.
And that kind of stuff. But okay. Maybe before I die, we'll get better gloves.
But I do think grip, I think grip strength's a huge factor. If you don't work on grip strength, and I don't think everyone works on grip strength. Not necessarily, but they should. It's something we test, and their physical fitness test every year. I test grip strength.
Yeah. How about some loaded carries, folks? Some loaded carries and some dead hangs. Maybe
100%
some of that stuff.
The dead hangs.
Dead hangs. Not my favorite thing, but also.
No. And I'll have to say, I probably have seen more elbows than other things consistently. And most people, firefighters, everyone, they let it prolong too long before they decide they need some help, treatment. Treat it early. Early intervention is the key. And I preach that to all of them. Let me decide if it's bad or not.
Oh, yes. Let's talk about that, because that's the immediate, worst case scenario handbook. That's what people go to. Like, oh my God, my shoulder hurts. I didn't do anything to it, but my shoulder hurts. I'm going to need surgery. But really, it's probably not a big deal. Come see Damon.
Yes. Early.
It's, you know what, my students at OSU, in the syllabus, it says, if you are struggling, reach out early, reach out often. Same thing with your shoulder and your elbow. Okay, so we talked about the injury patterns that you're seeing in the incumbents. Talk about, so you are the wellness coordinator. So what are the other tasks that you're hoping to accomplish other than being the athletic trainer?
So we're doing a whole new fitness assessment starting in January.
Tell me more.
The fitness assessments have basically comprised of VO2 max, which is very important for firefighters. I'll revert back just a little bit of the mean 15. These teams only have one bottle to finish the task that they need to go through. Most of them are running out of air. The higher VO2 max is, the less air you're going to use. And if you know anything about fire, 3 minutes is an exorbitant amount of time. If you have 3 extra minutes, that's a lifesaver. So that's one of the things we're testing: VO2 max, body fat percentage, blood pressure. We're looking at testing some health standards. We want a healthier, more resilient firefighter. Longevity. So when they leave their career at 20 years, their health is still good and they can go on and lead a healthy life after the fire department. So we want to have a healthy fire department.
So if we are putting them in a position to succeed in the academy physically, we are putting them in a position to be healthy in the academy. We're hoping to carry that out through the career. So what's the answer past the academy?
I think it comes from the leadership down, honestly. So starting in January, I'll do the fitness assessment on all 1,024 firefighters.
I cannot wait to talk to you after you finish that.
I might have to have you come and help a little. You might have to come and see.
Damon has impeccable hair. Look at the podcast artwork. He has impeccable hair. Damon is not going to have any hair left by the time he tests the 1,000 firefighters.
Yeah, I've had my chief go, I don't see how you're going to do it.
I don't either, Damon. I don't see how you're going to do it.
I've been testing it. I've tested it on myself numerous times. I went through the fitness assessment, the VO2 max. I'm doing a body mapping, movement, efficiency test. I'm hoping to help increase their mobility, flexibility down the road. So I'll see every one of them and hopefully speak to every one of them about the importance of the health factor. That's my goal, is speak to all of them and have them understand the health factor for longevity. Now you might see me a year from now and I might be bald. I don't know.
Damon is 100% going to be bald.
I got a motor though. My motor doesn't stop very often. I don't know how to say no, and I don't know how not to succeed. So I'll push it.
It's gonna happen. Talk to me about this mapping test that you are doing.
Yeah, so we went with I've looked at a few different companies that do it's an app. It's a body mapping, movement efficiency. So you put a camera on them and it calculates motion, hip hinge, shoulder mobility, knee, ankle, and it gives them a score. And it will give you corrective exercises. I can give that to every firefighter. They can log into their account. They can see the activities they need to do, and hopefully they follow through with that. And I can follow up with them. We have peer fitness trainers that are going to help with following up. So that is going to help me a little bit. So I think that's going to help.
How many peer fitness trainers do you have for the 1,000 firefighters?
So right now we have like 85.
Oh.
So it helps. They all will not, touch everyone. We have leads. So we have 6 leads, and that's with the shifts and the districts. So that's going to help disseminate it down. We're trying to set it up basically like chief, station officer, and move that stuff down. So it's not all 1,000 plus on me. But I will see them initially. My goal is to see everyone initially in this first year and do their fitness assessment and talk to them. I truly care, like, hey, I want you to be healthier. And the healthier you are, the better I'm going to feel.
Yeah.
Number one death, cardiac arrest for a firefighter.
It's the best feeling in the world to see your firefighters and know them well enough to ask about their wife's new job and their new baby. And did you get another new tattoo? It's the best feeling in the world. Just 1,000 is a lot.
1,000 is a lot. It's a pretty big number. I still have not met all 1,000. There are different people all the time. I try to get around and do things, and when they're on the drill ground, if I know there's some training going on, like if we do special operations training, I know they're doing stuff with the helicopters. I'll drive out and meet people and tell them what I do, and inevitably, every time I go to something like that, somebody has a question for me, or when can you see me? Like we're conducting the CPAP right now. I go over there and we have our peer fitness trainers help. I had someone today. Hey, how do I come and see you? I got this back thing. I'm like, here's my card. Text me, call me. I'm that easy. I'll see people on the weekends.
It's so true, though. People can have all of your contact information, but it's not until they see your face. I was just telling Sarah Parks, we had breakfast the other day. I was just telling her my firefighters knew they could text me, social media message me, email me, call me at the station. I work at a different department. They could call me at the station. They could pull a box alarm, whatever they needed, and I would be there. But yet I would show up at the station and there'd be a line of 20 of them, all with a question that could have been answered via email.
100%.
It's the personal, being there.
I always say that you have to be seen. If you are not seen, you're forgotten.
Oh.
So I try to see everyone. And I think it's important. Our chief, Fire Chief Kelly.
He's great.
He's outstanding. He wants everyone to see me every year and get a plan. He is very adamant about seeing the athletic trainer and having a plan.
I feel like we need to figure out how to duplicate you.
You probably don't want to duplicate me.
Scan you and then print you, whatever that's called.
Yeah, you probably there'll probably be people who go, you don't want to duplicate him.
Well, I think that would be helpful. Well, I want to be respectful of your time, so let's start wrapping up with summary, sage advice, a topic we didn't hit on yet, anything that we should talk about before the most important question.
Summary?
Yeah, summary.
If there's someone out there, if you have aspirations to be an athletic trainer in the, tactical athlete realm, man, go for it. Go hit up your municipalities, your local, fire department, police department, chamber, put a plan together. Reach out to me. I'll help you do it. They all want to see return on investment. You are the return on investment. That it's easy. Go show them. I would say reach out to all of them. And if you need some help from me, contact me. I'm more than willing to help you.
That's very nice, Damon. I feel like your phone's going to be ringing off the hook. Yeah, we'll put that contact information in the show notes. You're so brave.
Put it out.
All right. I now have for you the most important question of the Fire Rescue Wellness podcast. It always ends here.
Uh-oh.
Do you have a dog?
I have 3 dogs.
Tell me everything.
I have an Australian Shepherd miniature.
Oh, I love mini Aussies.
Her name's Carly.
Carly, okay.
And then I have a part Great Pyrenees, part Lab that my daughter got before she went in the Army. I have a daughter that's in the Army in Alaska.
And now you have a daughter's dog.
Yeah, now I have a daughter's dog. And then my other daughter, we have a Aussie doodle, some kind of doodle. Her name's Pearl.
Pearl.
So the Lab is 7. The Australian Shepherd, she's 7. So she's laid back.
Okay.
The Lab is 2. And the doodle is 1.
Oh, Damon.
Oh, it's a disaster.
You have a shit show.
Shit show. They tear up more things than I can fix.
I am going to need you to send pictures of your dogs, though.
I will send pictures of the dogs. The dogs are fun, though.
Yeah.
When they're not tearing stuff up.
I know.
But I have dogs, yes.
Well, I knew I liked you for one reason or another.
I love dogs.
I do, too. I love dogs so much.
When they're not a pain in my you-know-what.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think since we talked about all the important things, we found out who you are, what you do, how you came to do what you did, and we talked about dogs, I feel like we can officially drop the mic. What do you think?
Sounds good.
All right. It's AZ and Damon.
Peace
and
out.
We are out.